In light of some recent conversations around the community, I want to take some time to discuss the DCV and seasonal content. Instead of just speaking into the void, I want to try and actually think of some solutions that aren't just bring everything back, because quite frankly, I don't think that's a very good way of starting an open dialogue with Bungie. As usual, feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, and I'll be sure to go over them in a future video.
Let's go. Good morning, USA. I got a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful day.
Let me start off by saying I'm not a game developer. I have not the slightest idea of the technical challenges involved in some of the topics we'll be discussing today. I'm simply giving my thoughts on what could be the best path forward. So, the Destiny Content Vault, otherwise known as the DCV, was Bungie's answer to an ever-growing Destiny file size, as well as an attempt to streamline the Destiny experience. The thought, I would imagine, was, hey, these planets don't see a lot of attention, and new players may feel lost or confused if they need to catch up on 2 or 3 years of story content just to understand what's going on in the current season. And if you want my opinion, the logic is completely sound, and I agree with their intention. But this way of doing things also of course does bring up a lot of problems. First of all, a large portion of players paid for the content being removed from the game, so simply removing it probably doesn't feel great for them. Secondly, this has, I think, had the reverse effect that Bungie wanted it to. New players now feel more lost than ever as we move into Lightfall because they really have no way of knowing what are the pyramids, who was Cayde, Aldrin, Callus, Anna Bray. That context is no longer in the game, and in its place is a timeline. Hell, as far as I know, the only record of Cayde in the tower, outside of dialogue, is some picture of him taped to the wall of a ramen shop. He doesn't even have a statue or anything like that. Not to mention, we of course lost a lot of Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit maps. But we all know that, we've talked it to death, what can we do about it? And again, I'm gonna try to refrain from just saying, bring everything back. For starters, let's not forget about file size. Now, I know people like me, or maybe even you, don't mind having Destiny taking up a large part of our storage, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of people do, especially those who aren't yet invested in the game. At the end of the day, Bungie is a business, and they need to look out for those people. I know some people will say, oh, well, look at Warzone, that shit's massive, and yeah, you're right, but that doesn't make it okay. I, for one, don't play Warzone or Cold War largely for that reason. It just takes up too much space for a game that I don't really play a whole lot. However, as some of you may be getting ready to type down in the comments, what if Bungie took a page out of Warzone's book in another sense? While it is true that Modern Warfare, Warzone, and Cold War have massive files, they also let you install only the experiences that you want to play. For example, I only really play COD Zombies, so I can just install Zombies and not the campaign or multiplayer. What if Bungie were to, instead of just removing the content, turn it into a sort of extension or a downloadable add-on to the game? So if they were to sunset Shadowkeep and Moon content in Lightfall, instead of just getting rid of it, they could remove it from the base game and turn it into some sort of downloadable extension. That way players who want to go to the Moon or Duke Garden of Salvation can just download the extension. This would mean that for hardcore players like myself, of course I'm going to have all of the Destiny content I can, but for someone who's just getting into the game, they can just download the content they need for the Red War, which could also all be packaged into some sort of bundle for ease of access. So under these circumstances, Destiny would only really be as large as you want it to be, and the base game would just be whatever Bungie deems as being relevant for the current story. Honestly, as games get larger, because they will, that's how technology works, I would not be surprised if more studios started adopting this Warzone style of giving the players the choice of what they want to install. Now, this logic, in my opinion, extends to seasonal content, so let's talk about the season passes. I strongly feel that Bungie should take inspiration from Halo Infinite here. What if our battle passes never went away? So someone could start playing right now and choose from a list of which season pass they want their XP to go towards. This would A, grant players more choice in how they play, B, give Bungie another source of revenue that isn't intrusive to the base gameplay, and C, give the players more to do in seasonal downtime like we're in right now. I don't know about any of you, but I've definitely had some seasons where I just didn't have enough time to grind out the pass and get the armor at the end. I didn't play much in Season of the Undying, and I will never forgive myself for it. That armor is peak Titan. I would love it if, as a season is nearing its end and there's not much to do, I could just kill some time by grinding out another season pass that I didn't finish before. As a player, I then have more incentive to keep playing. Season passes really aren't much of an issue right now. This is really just a quality of life change that I feel would really keep players new and hardcore more engaged. Finally, I want to ask you all a question that I asked past our stream the other day. The things we talked about today are no small feat to implement on Bungie's end if they were to do so. I had been throwing this idea around for a while, but if any of you played Rainbow Six Siege, then you probably remember Operation Health. Operations are like Rainbow Six Siege's version of seasons. Operation Health was essentially a season where they didn't really introduce anything new. Instead, they took some time to fix some core issues around the game and just get it into better shape, hence the name. Would you be opposed to Bungie giving Destiny a sort of, let's call it season of repair, where instead of introducing a bunch of new seasonal content and whatnot, they instead took some time to reintroduce the old content in a way similar to what we discussed today? Basically just taking a pause to consolidate all of Destiny's content while not overworking the team at Bungie. Though, let's be real with ourselves, this could already be considered overworking. Again, let's not pretend to be game devs. I don't think this is something that's really feasible, and Bungie obviously has the next couple of years of content lined up, so fitting this in there may honestly be impossible. But Season of the Repair, what are your thoughts? I think it could be interesting. I'd like to thank Wowzers McGee, GX Gamer, Sergeant Vanguard, Celtor, and Percival for becoming the latest channel members. I really appreciate all your support. If you made it to the end, I truly appreciate that, and if you enjoyed, then a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new around here, then consider subscribing. I post fun Destiny-related content on a regular basis. Regardless of that, thank you so much for hanging out, and goodbye.